So last week when we got together, it was really about some emotions, right? It's okay not to be okay was kind of my theme of last week. And, obviously I do these videos to really talk things out for myself, but I know that it really did pay off for some other people, so I'm happy to have shared that with everyone. But the funny thing is that so we were talking about that, and, kind of talking it out really made me feel better, being able to get some of that out instead of just like pushing it down with snacks and fun food and things like that. So this week I was thinking about how I normally push things down with food, and it's really emotional eating. That is one of the biggest things that I struggle with, and it's actually the topic that we're discussing this week in Weight Watchers meetings, of really being focused on when food is not the answer. I go to it so often. It's like that immediate feeling, whether it's happy, sad, angry, whatever it is, I immediately run to the cabinet or go to CVS to buy something. And it's this cycle that is really hard to break. And it really hit me, I was really angry at a situation. I was really frustrated and I wanted to get back at someone. And so I went and ate an entire bag of Cheez-Its or something. And I was like, that didn't hurt the person at all. And it didn't solve the problem. And I think it really hit me after the bombing at the Boston Marathon. For those that don't know, I ran Boston in 2013, crossed the finish line a minute before the bombs happened, and then everything else kind of resulted. You can read more about it on the blog if you want to. But I totally dove into food right after that. And I remember sitting there a couple days later being like, did this solve the guilt? Did this make me happier? Maybe in the moment I felt happier eating it, but afterwards I just felt so guilty and I wasn't on plan and I just felt really bad, and I hated that I immediately still go to that food. But even after, being on Weight Watchers for 4 years, almost 5 years, it's not like it goes away immediately, at least for me. And I actually had to start thinking about a different question. So instead of asking myself, is it worth it when looking at a food and being emotionally driven, right? Because in that moment, absolutely, that piece of cake is worth the 14 points or whatever it is. So now I've started asking myself recently, when I go for something, how am I feeling? Am I really hungry, or is there a feeling behind this? Am I grabbing this out of anger, or out of sadness, or out of happiness, whatever it might be? So that's a question that I've been posing to my meetings so far this week, and I pose it to you as well. Instead of asking yourself, do I need this? Is it worth it? How am I feeling? Why am I doing this? So ask yourself that question this week, because a lot of times food is not the answer, right? When my grandpa was sick and passed away, did it help him at all for me to eat those cookies? No, it didn't help the doctors do anything. And so we really need to step back, because it's in that 10 seconds that we go to grab something where we can ask ourselves that one question and maybe stop it. It's not going to work every time. We know that. But maybe it'll help at least 1 out of 3. So I give you that this week. When knowing that emotional eating is rearing its ugly head, because we know when it's happening. We know that we are not hungry for those cookies right now. Obviously. So think to yourself and ask and say it out loud. How am I feeling right now? Okay, so I pledge you to do that this week, because I'm going to do it too. All right, I'll see you next week.